The beginning of season 5, Jesus says very clearly what's going to happen. And
so come to the well. He's waiting for you. And it was a lot of pressure to get this moment right.
So I just don't think she's surprised when things happen.
Beautiful, intimate, and lovely about shooting that. I had a wonderful time shooting that scene.
His impending death.
Morning, how are you?
Good to see you.
Well, Mary Magdalene, back in season 5, obviously a huge part getting into the Holy Week of Jesus, understanding what's going on in Jerusalem, understanding what's going on at the end of Jesus' life. Now, we've talked several times about your growth as a character, obviously going through a lot of the things in season 2, season 3, but now, how does it feel going into Holy Week and you kind of understanding more than maybe some of the apostles do or some of the other characters? How do you see Mary kind of like falling into that and maybe having this responsibility of like, I know this, but how do I communicate this and how do I navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of season 5, Jesus says very clearly what's going to happen, and I think everyone's trying to really, I think, hoping that it's somehow symbolic or figurative. I think because of Mary's past and her experience with tragedy and unexpected things, I think she really believes him. He says this and she's like, oh, I think this is going to happen, his impending death. And so I think she has a little bit more time to prepare and process it and in moments try to change it, try to help as much as she can. Everyone's sort of arguing and she has her own plan to help. And yeah, I think she struggles a little bit with accepting what I think eventually she realizes is inevitable. And then that next process is acceptance and understanding this is happening for a reason and trusting that process. And we'll get to see, I think, that payoff hopefully in future seasons.
I'd like to talk about as well the ability that Mary has to deal with trauma. So since a young child, her father died. There's a lot of things. Obviously, her mother either passed away or something else happened earlier on in her life. And so there's a lot of different things that she's dealt with throughout her life, including the death of Rama just recently. So how is she navigating that? Again, with the addition of people like Joanna into her life, how does she navigate those friendships and like attach but detach? And how do you see that?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting dynamic she has with everyone. There is, I think, she's experienced so much grief. She's not a stranger to it. While everyone else might be going through some early stages of the grieving process, I think she's leaning towards the acceptance maybe of it, that this is part of life, that we have to live with the bitter and the sweet. For so long it was just the bitter for her, so everything else is so sweet. So I just don't think she's surprised when things happen. She's used to it. And I think there's a sense of compassion for the others that are kind of going through it maybe for the first time. But also there's so much going on this season, and I think she's got like her eye on Jesus and what he's been saying and what he's sort of been warning everyone, preparing everyone for. That there are moments where, she kind of, she does what Mary does, and sometimes she goes off on her own.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this video and you want to see more content just like this, for example, full live streams or extra content behind the scenes that nobody else gets to see, you can go over to our Patreon at snipesupport.com, and that will allow you to see extra content that is just up there for our Patreon family alone. That's things like our full live streams that we do every single Sunday, or behind the scenes content, for example, like at Chosen Con, or some of these different things that we do around the channel. Anyway, if you're interested in that, you can join for as low as $5 a month, and it really does help us to continue to make videos just like this. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Hello. How are you? So how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. What do you think your character's doing during season 5?
What was that?
What do you think your character's doing during season 5?
During season 5, she's still telling people about the good news of Jesus. Is she in Jerusalem? I think she's still in Samaria doing her thing. She's still going, here, I gotta to share what you guys are all about. But I am hoping that she'll get word about Jesus and how he really is picking up, and I think she might want to make it out there to see him. I'm hopeful that, you might want to tell Dallas this, I'm hopeful that she'll be in the crucifixion scene as one of the women who's watching and just, and weeping with Mary and all the other Marys.
Culturally, it's hard, right? Because you're probably getting ridiculed for being a Samaritan and everything that goes along with that. Like, it's kind of hard culturally, I get that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going back through seasons 1 through 3 right now. It's funny that I catch you right now because the next episode I'm doing next Sunday is going to be episode 8 for season 1. So what would you want, I'll input this in the video, what would you want people to know about this episode in particular that really you hold dear to your heart?
Oh my gosh. Jesus wants you to come to the well. Like, he's asking for you to come. You're searching for water everywhere else. You're trying to find, figure things out on your own, figure it out because, there's this new diet and there's this new book and there's this person says to do this and try that. But I mean, at the core, it's Jesus. So come to the well. He's waiting for you, and he's the one who's going to give you that living water. I think that's what this scene is all about. Yeah.
Hello. I'm Brandon.
Brendan, I'm Catherine. I've seen some of your videos.
Awesome. I've seen some of your songs.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Should I look at you when we speak?
It's fine. Yeah.
Okay, not at the camera. Okay, perfect. Okay, that makes me feel better. That's great.
So you and I are both worship leaders. So I was a worship pastor for about 10 years before getting into this content creation game.
Oh,
and so,
beautiful.
What is your favorite thing about leading worship? What gives you that heart?
The first part of your question, I think, could be answered with, it gives me a lot of peace. I think in the music business, it can be really easy to get caught up with yourself. How am I impressing everyone? How am I entertaining everyone? What do I need to do to please the crowd? Blah, blah, blah. I think worship is really just, you're in communion with your creator, and it's very peaceful. I'm not concerned with any of the other things because if he's there, then I'm fine. And then for the second part of your question, I think, I don't know how I got the heart for it, but when I was very young, singing used to be a thing I would do when I was scared. And it brought me peace then too. And those weren't even worship songs. It was just to get over a fear of the basement or something. So I think I've just always really loved music as an outlet or a security blanket. I don't know. And I think my love for the Lord developed when I read the full Bible. And that's probably when my love for worship music really started to blossom.
Very cool. Well, thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for indulging me in that question.
Of course, yeah.
Season 4, Season 5. Of course, Season 4, a really big debut for you. You came in Season 3, but really Season 4 was a huge moment for you. We had guessed ahead of time that some of the scenes that you were doing were going to be happening, so I'm really excited that we got some of those moments, no matter how Sean Sharma responded to them. But for you, obviously, how was that living through that biblical moment there?
It was so intense. It was very beautiful, but it just, again, it was like I just needed to be focused on God because it was a lot of pressure to get this moment right that so many people have mentioned in scripture or in sermons or for thousands of years. People know about this moment. So commemorating that was very important to me to be able to do it right. And of course, we had a beautiful team, our director, our writers, everybody came together to really help that moment along. And our crew, tons of people really assisted. And I just think I just had to get in tune with God for it, because you can bring all the acting chops you want, you can bring your craft, you can bring your preparation, you can bring all those skills, but without him touching that, I don't think it would have been as good as it was.
Now, my favorite scene with you is none of those.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, go. Let's go.
My favorite scene is like the oneer that you did with Martha, where you're just sitting at the table, and it's kind of like we're a fly on the wall, seeing this moment kind of play out.
Yes.
How was shooting that for you? I know maybe it wasn't too long or whatever else, but to me, I love that scene.
I do too. Oh my gosh. It was such a special moment between the sisters. It was a nice view into the intimacy that they share, and the audience got to experience it too. And that was a moment where we didn't even have our headscarves on because it's women in a room together. So it was just something very special, very natural, very beautiful, intimate, and lovely about shooting that. I had a wonderful time shooting that scene. And I think just artistically, I loved the way they decided to cut it together. I knew they were doing certain angles, and we were excited to see what they were going to do with it. But it was a nice, almost breath of fresh air for the audience, too, because they did the wide after such intensity in the episode. Yeah.
Thank you for all you do. Really
thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate
so
it.
great to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for everything you do.
No worries.